Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Growing Up in Scientology. We're talking today with Sam Crabtree. Hey, Sam, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for talking to me today. All right. So for those who don't know you, you're someone, you actually were born and raised in Scientology, correct?
That is correct. I was born in Largo, Florida. Do you want me to go off on it, or do you just want me to answer?
Yeah. No, go for it. Go for it.
Okay. I was born in Largo, Florida. My parents are both in the Sea Org. My mom was like the tech sec at Div 4 for the Class 12 auditors, and my dad was like a Class 9 auditor, doing some like secret, you know, our RTC type stuff. I don't know if the RTC was around back then, but I think the CMO, he was doing some stuff for them, and then he eventually, I think, went up to RTC in Los Angeles, and that's when we moved when I was like 2 years old to Los Angeles. That's where I remember most of my Sea Org time, because they left when I was like 6. Which would have been like 1989 ish.
Okay. So you mean they left? So wait, when you were born, your parents were already in the Sea Org?
Yeah, they were at the Flag land base, doing auditor stuff. My dad was a Class 9 auditor, and my mom was technical secretary at the time. This is back 1980 something, 1982. I think they got together, and then they had me in 1983.
How old were you when your parents left the SO?
I was 6.
Damn.
I remember a pretty good chunk of being in the Sea Org. I remember a lot of it. I kind of had like a different experience, I think, than a lot of people. My parents actually had a studio apartment, that because like my dad was because I do believe his title was Qualsec RTC at one point. Like, I think he knew David Miscavige personally, and I think David Miscavige got RPF'd him. You know what I mean? Because he missed some withholds on another person, Vicky Asnaran. I don't know if you ever. Sorry, what was the question?
Your memories, because you were only 6 when your parents left the Sea Org. You said you actually have a lot of memories from that time, and that your experience was probably different than a lot of other people.
Yeah, and me and my sister had a lot of questions too. You know what I mean? Because all this weird shit is going on all the time, and then when they leave the Sea Org, my mom especially, my dad was actually on the RPF at the time, and he actually had to route out of the RPF and then out of the Sea Org in order to be with my mom, who was routing out of just the Sea Org, because she just couldn't take it any fucking more. 2 little kids, dad's on the RPF all the time, but she works until 10 p.m. every night. She comes and picks us up while we're sleeping on these cots in this small little room, with all these other little kids waiting for their parents to come pick them up, you know what I mean, and take them back to their little whatever they had going on. I found out that I was like one of the only kids who had a fridge in their dorm. Like, they were like, "You have a refrigerator?" I was like, "Yeah, what, you don't?" Because apparently when he got RPF'd, it would have been out PR or something for people to, I don't know. I don't know what. I'd never asked why they weren't downgraded to some smaller, shittier 2D berthing. But they had some sort of special deal worked out where they got a 1-bedroom, or not a 1-bedroom, a studio with a kitchen and a bathroom, walk-in closet, and living room / bedroom.
Wow. So does that mean that when your dad was put on the RPF, he was allowed to keep living with you guys, or you guys were allowed to keep living there even when your dad wasn't there?
Man, now I'm starting to dredge up memories. when my dad my dad got RPF'd, and then at a certain point he was like he was a security guard. Like I think probably I guess senior HCO. And because he came home a couple times with the uniform on, the security guard outfit. I can't remember if that was before or after he got RPF'd. I want to say he was on the RPF when we left, because I seem to recall him coming, because he was gone like most of the time, right? Like he would be out on mission like all the time. Like I always saw my mom, like, in the morning, she would drop us off at the CEO, the nursery, where the parking lot is for CC now, is where the nursery was then. There's like a big tree house and everything, and we lived like just up the street, like across from that market that's over there.
Is it the Bronson building?
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Yeah, the Bronson building. That's right. Okay. Yes, we weren't the only ones in there. There were non-Scientologists in there as well.
Oh.
I remember that. We had like normal neighbors who would who were like, so you guys are from the Scientology over there? I remember when I was a kid, there was this guy who got out of prison when he was after doing 15 years for murder. He saw that like my mom was like she seemed like a single mom with all these, dad's never around, you know what I mean? Because he's out doing Sea Org missions.
All right, so then I guess I want to. What's like one of your most vivid memories of that 6 years of your life that you were in the Sea Org with your parents, or your parents were in the Sea Org and you were there? Like, is there anything that just jumps out?
We at one point we started getting bused out to the school in West Covina. I remember that because it was called the West Covina School, and I guess it was just like this. I don't know if they rented this old school grounds or if they bought the place or whatever, but like it was like a legit school looking back on it, and I guess maybe they it just wasn't being used or something at that time, because like all the Sea Org kids got shipped out there every morning for like, I want to say like it was a long time, but like in 5-year-old terms, it's a long time is whatever. But I remember there was this teacher who I actually met again when I went back into the Sea Org when I was older, years later. Like all the kids were like yelling and stuff, and she was getting really angry, and none of the kids were listening to her, and she like screamed like, "Well, fuck you!" and like everyone shut up. I remember that, and she later on went to the RPF. I found out, maybe for things like that, where she like screams at a room full of kids because they're being too loud. But I mean, we were pretty fucking rambunctious. I mean, you're talking cultist kids. You know what I mean? Like they have like zero parental controls. Like they get raised by like some weirdo who just came in off the bus from like some faraway place. Nobody knows who they are.
Yeah. How many kids were you there with?
At the CEO, man, there were like, it is really hard to pin down a number, but I want to say like 40 or 50 kids. We were all we all had our own cliques. We all had our own age groups and stuff. Thinking back on it, I gotta say there must have been like 100 or 200, something like that. I mean, because like there were so many people, so many Sea Org members having kids at that time.
Well, what does CEO stand for?
CEO stands for Cadet Estates Org.
There you go. Are these kids that were considered Sea Org members, or were they considered cadets, or were they considered children?
Every human, as far as Owen Howard is concerned, is considered a baby until they're 6, and then you wouldn't be a Sea Org member until you sign the billing year contract, and you could pass the what is it called, the EPF, the Estates Project Force.
So, well, did you consider yourself a baby, a child, a cadet, or a Sea Org member?
When I was there, a baby, because like I left when I was 6. I did see some kids walking around with uniforms, like, you know, doing that whole thing. I mean, they were older kids, obviously.
Do you remember the younger kids in the group sort of aspiring to become Sea Org members, or was it more like, oh shit, I hope we don't have to do that? Like, what was it?
We didn't really talk about it. It was just something our parents did. You know what I mean? It was just our life. Like, you know, you just get used to whatever you grow up with. I mean, that's just how it is. Like, it was totally normal to us because I mean, what else is? You tell us whatever you want us to believe. We'll believe it. We're just kids. You know?
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe